Hi, Counselor Keenan. Can we test your audio, please? Hi, Counselor Keenan. Can we test your audio, please?
Good morning.
Good morning. We can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know. But don't you wonder how long ago ours were? Well, I went, can you get one now?
Hi, Counselor Turo. Can we test your audio, please?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Check 1 2. Testing audio. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Testing audio. Check 1 2.
All right, good morning, everyone. I believe we can begin. Yeah? Perfect. As we begin today's meeting, we would like to acknowledge that we are gathering here today on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and before them the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Huron, and Wendat. We are also acknowledge the many First Nation, Métis, Inuit, and other global Indigenous people that now call Brampton their home. We are honored to live, work, and enjoy this land. And just a reminder to folks as I talk about the First Nations land acknowledgement that the red dress installation is still outside of City Hall in acknowledgement and in memory of the missing and murdered Indigenous women and children. Good morning and welcome to our meeting of Brampton's Committee of Council. All members are present today with the following participating remotely or absent. Madam Clerk, we have online today.
Through you, Chair. Online we have Councillor Paleshi, Councillor Keenan, and Councillor Tour.
Perfect. And everyone else is present here, and
Yes.
we have quorum. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item is approval of the agenda. The following revisions have been published. Madam Clerk, over to you.
Through you, Chair Santos, with the revised agenda, the following revisions have been published. 6.1, delegation from Anmal Pharma, presentation has been added. 7.1, government relations matters, presentation has been added. 9.2.3, staff report, an update regarding the new mobile licensing bylaw, the report has been added. 9.3.1, minutes from the Accessibility Advisory Committee, May 13th, 2025. The minutes have been added. 12.1.1, presentation, strengthening alignment with provincial locate requirements in municipal construction processes. The item and presentation were added. 12.2.5, staff report, strengthening alignment with provincial locate requirements. The report title was updated to include the referred matters number.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do any members wish to add any other business to today's meeting? I also want to acknowledge that Mayor Brown is joining us online as well today, so everyone is present online or in person. So anyone want to add any items to today's agenda? Seeing none, we sure? Going once, twice? Councillor Vicente, do you have something to add?
I haven't been briefed, I'm not sure. To add the one in camera item dealing with labor.
Okay, I have a note regarding a proposed agenda item, closed session report 15.2 regarding the ATU Local 1573 collective agreement. Councillor Vicente, yes? Okay, so we are adding that. Motion moved by Deputy Mayor Singh to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, anyone opposed, that motion carries. Next item is declarations of conflict of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Do any members have a declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, the clerk will so note in the meeting minutes. Oh, I am so sorry. Councillor Brar, going back to conflict of interest. Councillor Brar.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. I have a conflict of interest for 9.2.3 as for last week. There are some bylaws related to taxi drivers. I have a lot of family members that are taxi drivers.
Okay, so Councillor Brar, when that item comes up, you may excuse yourself, and thank you for that declaration. Any other members wish to declare conflict of interest on any agenda items? Okay, I see none online, no more in person. The clerk will now note for the meeting minutes. The next item is the consent motion process. I will read each agenda item that is subject to the consent motion, and any member may verbally identify the item to be held for debate during the meeting. Any item that is not held for debate will be considered as part of the consent motion and voted for on approval. I'll start by reading all the items. 7.1, staff update government relations matters in consent. 9.2.1, staff report, request to begin procurement, risk, and insurance management services for a 3-year period in consent. 9.2.2, staff report, budget amendment, capital project request for hearing loop pilot project. Consent. 9.2.3, staff report, update, new mobile licensing bylaw. Consent. 9.3.1, minutes, accessibility advisory committee. In consent. 11.2.1, staff report, naming in honor of former councillor Grant Gibson. Consent. 11.2.2, staff report, Tourism Municipal Services Corporation. Consent. 11.2.3, staff report, agreements executed by administrative authority for January 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2025. Consent. 12.1.1 is held for presentation. 12.2.1, staff report, request to begin procurement, construction, and multi-use paths on West Creek Boulevard, Advance Boulevard, and Alfred Kuhn Boulevard, wards 3 and 7. In consent. 12.2.2, staff report, parking-related concerns, Berkshire Square, Ward 2. Consent. 12.2.3, staff report, spring 2025 update to engagement campaign snow survey results for winter maintenance contract. Consent. We're doing well, folks. 12.2.4, staff report regarding heavy truck enforcement. Consent. 12.2.5, staff report strengthening alignment with provincial locate requirements in municipal construction processes. This also deals with 12.1.1, presentation, and 12.4.1, correspondence. Would we like to put the report into consent and just see the presentation? Okay, that's in consent. 12.3.1, minutes, Brampton School Traffic Safety Council, in consent. 12.4.1, correspondence from Samantha Pinto, Chief Regulatory Officer, Ontario, one call, in consent. 13.1, referred matters list, published quarterly on the website, in consent. 15.1, closed report, budget amendment, request to bid procurement for repairs to city assets, Ward 1. I will hold that. Yep. 15.2 is the added closed item, ATU Local 1573 collective agreement, which is held. So it looks like everything is in consent with the exception of the closed items and a discussion item from myself on encampments, as well as a presentation from staff. Madam Clerk, did you want to just summarize, before we bring forward the motion, summarize the items that are actually held versus those in consent?
Through you, Chair Santos. 12.1.1, staff presentation has been held. The discussion item also is not on consent and not included. 15.1, closed report, budget amendment. And 15.2, closed report, ATU Local 1573 collective agreement, have both been held.
Wonderful. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I have a motion moved by Councillor Brar to approve the consent motion. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That carries. Our next item is announcements. We have 3 announcements today. Each announcement is provided 2 minutes for their announcement. The first announcement is from Mayor Patrick Brown, who is joining us online regarding the passing of former Mayor Peter Robertson. Mayor Brown, over to you. Mayor Brown? Is he on mic? Okay. There might be some issues. I'll ask some of my colleagues to please, if you could, try to get in touch with Mayor Brown, see if he can get online sometime soon. We will stand this down for now, and move to 5.2, announcement regarding the Luminato Festival from June 12th to 14th, downtown Brampton. Our councillor sponsor is myself, and we have Lamisha Ruddock from Luminato Festival, producer, who will be present here in person to give the announcement. Lamisha, you have up to 2 minutes, and excited to hear about Luminato this year.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Mayor Brown, members of council and city staff. On behalf of Luminato Festival, we are so excited to be bringing Dandyism by Ziza Patrick to Brampton in June, in partnership with Cultural Services, Experience Brampton, and the Brampton Arts Organisation. Dandyism is a bold, celebratory outdoor performance, reclaiming space using fashion, movement and sound, centering Black joy, resistance and freedom, channeled through the superfine Congolese suppers. We are so proud to be bringing this important piece of work to Brampton for the first time as part of the Brampton Farmers Market on June 14th. And this will be before two free workshops, textile and dance workshops, which are going to be co-facilitated by the Company of Dandyism and Sandra and Taylor from the Brampton Quilters Guild, and celebrated Brampton dancer Kwasi Obeng in collaboration with the Brampton Arts Organisation. This presentation in Brampton reflects our shared values in presenting extraordinary art in unexpected places and celebrating the diversity and cultural richness of the communities across the entire GTA. So Dandyism will also be in the Well, Scarborough Town Centre and Harbourfront Community Square. So thank you so much for welcoming us back to Brampton, and we have a short video to show you about Luminato Festival 2025.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And looking forward to the festival this year. Is there anything further to add?
Nothing else, just thanks to our supporters, especially Michael and Carly from the Brampton Arts Organisation for facilitating this. And we can't wait for the festival, June 5th to 22nd.
Wonderful. Can you make sure that all of our council members have it in their calendars, just so that we know exactly when to be there and what's going on for those days?
Yeah, so the exact performance will be June 14th, 11:30 at the Garden Square, where that intersection is.
Okay,
So
awesome.
we'll make sure
Send us the invite.
Of course.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, that's it for that announcement, correct? Yes. So our next one is another arts announcement, which I'm happy to see more arts announcements every week at council. We have an announcement from Brampton Arts Organization regarding the 2024 annual report and 2025 update, sponsored by Regional Councillor Tour. We have Michael Vickers as well as Hani Musa to give the announcement. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Mayor Brown and members of council. If I may, I'd like to request a very short extension to our time. Only need another minute or so. Thank you very much. Joining me today is Hani Musa, BOW's Board President and Chair, as we thank you for your ongoing support of the Brampton Arts Organisation and for recognizing the vital role we play in shaping our city. A special thank you to our small but mighty team of staff, board and volunteers, and to Kelly Stahl and Commissioner Boyes for their collaboration and support, as well as all of the city staff that we continue to work with daily to support our residents. Over the past year, BOW has continued to build Brampton's creative community in meaningful ways, and I'm thrilled to share our 2024 annual report. 2024 was our first year of independence, and we built a strong and vital organization where more than 5,000 local artists and creatives were supported by over 100 free events with 23 different community partner organizations. That's over 10 times the number of artists supported just 3 years ago in 2021. We are excited to have launched our new website and helped drive forward the new experiencebrampton.ca, ensuring that more people discover the cultural events that make Brampton so unique. In 2024, we also introduced 10 additional new streams of programming and issued 14 different open calls, including new services for newcomers, Indigenous artists, and creative entrepreneurs. These initiatives reflect our commitment to access, equity, and community building. We've also been proud to support the ongoing development of the city's new Arts and Culture Centre opening in 2028 and to continue growing the impact of the Advanced Brampton Fund, helping ensure that local arts organizations and projects can thrive. Lastly, we began working with local schools to provide career training to over 250 elementary and secondary school students, nurturing the next generation of artists, creatives, and innovators. At our 8 Nelson Community Hub, we've offered hundreds of hours of free professional studio time and recently launched a new Brampton Live Music Fund to support musicians. Looking ahead, we hope to see continued investment and leadership from council in supporting arts and culture as the economic driver that it is here in Brampton, helping us keep pace with our neighboring cities and realize our full potential. Next slide, please. Finally, we invite you to join us alongside other levels of government as BOW works with the Ontario Chamber of Commerce on a special presentation next Monday, May 26th at the Brampton Entrepreneur Centre, where the Chamber will be highlighting the potential of Brampton's creative economy and the business case for continuing to expand it. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much. Councillor Tour, over to you.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that update. If you told me that BOW supported 500 artists a year, you would have blown my mind. The fact that you're doing more than 5,000 artists a year, it is incredible. I think that's more work than ever been done in the city before on an annual basis. So kudos to you for being very humble about those numbers and just saying them very casually on here. But I think that's a testament to the work that BOW and the entire team and Kelly as well have put behind this. Congratulations on the new studio spaces as well. I would request all my council colleagues to take a fresh tour of BOW. They have more spaces added on where artists have their own studio spaces now, where they don't have to pack up and leave at the end of a studio session, where they can continue to work in their art and collaborate with fellow artists. And I'm hoping we can expand on those spaces as well in the near future till we have a permanent space. So thank you once again for this update.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Tour. And I just, as Chair of Community Services and a founding board member of what was now BOW, or what is now BOW, how really proud I am to hear from the community outside of Brampton, the arts community outside of Brampton, acknowledge the work that Brampton is doing with BOW. We went, I think from 2018, Deputy Mayor Singh, where we had like very little in the arts, and poor Kelly was struggling to get the attention that the portfolio deserved, to now where we are today, where outside of Brampton, folks in Hamilton, even in Toronto, are really acknowledging Brampton as a leader in arts and culture. We still have more work to do, but Brampton Arts Organization, Michael and your team, Kelly, have a lot to do with it. So thank you very much for this update.
Thank you.
Okay, the next announcement was, it stood down, and I believe Mayor Brown unfortunately is having some technical difficulties. So Deputy Mayor Singh will provide the announcement on behalf of Mayor Brown.
So in the city of Brampton, we stand on the shoulders of giants and who have shaped the city of Brampton. And one of those giants that just passed away a few days ago was former Mayor Peter Robertson, and myself and Councillor Tour have Peter Robertson Road in our wards, and the former mayor lived in our wards as well. And so he was elected in 1979 and mayor from 1991 to 2000. So he left a huge legacy. He stood for many issues, but in particular, looking through his profile, he stood strongly for Aboriginal Indigenous issues. And he was one of the first people to start a race relations committee, and the Toronto Star gave him credit for championing that. So his legacy lives on, and we wish his family nothing but strength during this difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor Singh. And former Mayor Peter Robertson had a huge impact on the city of Brampton during a time when Brampton was really booming and starting to take off. So we acknowledge him, and may he rest in peace, and condolences to all of the family as well as friends who knew and worked with Mayor Robertson. Our next item is delegations. So we have a few delegations. Delegation 6.1 from Anmol Pharma, who is the partner of Golf Almighty Indoor Golf and Sports Bar.
I thought that other delegations might be of the similar nature, but since we have the announcements, could we do a quick photo with BOW before we move on to delegations?
Yeah, for sure. So we're hold off on the delegations. We're going to do a photo with BOW on this important announcement today. Thank you, Councillor Tour, for reminding us to take that photo. We will now move to delegations. First one from Anmol Pharma, partner of Golf on Mighty Indoor Golf and Sports Bar, regarding a request to review denied building improvement grant. Anmol, are you here? Good to see you.
Thank you,
You
everyone,
have
for
up
your
to
time.
5 minutes. The clock is just above my left shoulder, and you may begin.
Sounds good. Next slide, please. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. So I'm here on behalf of Golf Almighty. We're an indoor golf facility located in downtown Brampton. We're proud to say we're the first one to bring this concept to Brampton, and our space is inclusive, modern, and community-focused, welcoming new and experienced golfers, especially youth. Next slide, please. Why we're here today. We're here today because our application to city's building improvement program was denied. The reason cited was we began work before the approval was granted. I'm here to respectfully ask council to reconsider this based on the timeline and circumstances we face. Next slide, please. Why we work began early. When we took possession, the building was in extremely poor shape, unlivable, and not suitable for public use. Waiting for approval would have significantly delayed our opening and possibly made the project unviable. We had to act quickly to make the building safe, functional, and ready for use. Next slide, please. We followed the city process. Although the building improvement application was submitted later, we made sure every renovation followed proper city procedure. We applied for and received building permits, completed inspections, and successfully closed all the permits before closing. Before opening. We did not cut any corners. We did everything according to the code. Next slide, please. Impact on downtown Brampton. Our work had a real visible impact. We transformed a neglected building in a key area of Brampton. We introduced something new and exciting, an indoor golf experience that has brought people together and encouraged youth to try sport. The local community has been extremely supportive. Next slide, please. Community and the landlord support. The support is reflected in our online reviews, and which I invite you to browse online. Our landlord has also provided a formal letter backing our contribution to revitalizing the space. We did not just build a business, we created a space that locals are proud to be part of. And the last slide, please. Final request. In closing, I ask council to consider the bigger picture. We invested in Brampton, we complied with the city's building permit process, and we contributed to making downtown more vibrant. We kindly ask for a second look at our application and hope you consider approving it in light of these facts. Thank you.
Thank you so much for delegation in record time. Well done. We have a question from Councillor Medeiros.
Thank you through you, Madam Chair. In consultation with Councillor Keenan, the two area representatives, we're more than happy to send this back to staff just to have another a relook, just to ensure that we've done our due diligence, and to give you, I understand. I pass by there a lot. I bank at the BMO, so I park there. So I do see that there has been improvement in the area. I do see traffic there. So I think the minimum that we can do, if council supports it, just have the Senate refer back to staff for a second look.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Councillor Medeiros. It's a referral back to staff. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That carries. Next delegation is a familiar dear face and friend of ours from Henry Verschren and Major Sharp. You have up to 5 minutes regarding Branch 15 Royal Canadian Legion renewal of lease agreement for 3 cadet corps at Flower City Recreation Center. Hank, 5 minutes.
Thank you. I have a presentation. I don't see it up there yet. There we go. Can we go to the second slide, please? Good morning, Madam Chair, and through you to the rest of the committee. We are Branch 15 Legion, the Major William Dwight Sharp Legion in Brampton is the sponsor of 4 different cadet corps. We are talking today about 3. That being 557 Lawrence Scott, Army Cadet, 139 Electric Sea Cadet, and 132 Spitfire Air Cadet. Can I have the next slide, please? A little over 5 years ago, I was before Committee of Council to ask for, and it was granted, a 5-year lease agreement to each of these cadet corps for land for a sea crate container at the Flower City Community Campus. And that agreement provided no cost whatsoever to the Cadet Corps. Those agreements expired December 31st, 2024. Have the next slide, please. Now, the new agreements have gone out to the Corps, but it calls for the payment of rent to be paid and increased yearly on a 2% per year basis, plus a one-time application fee of about $500 or so. I'm here because this is detrimental to these Cadet Corps. Because the funds required for these payments will reduce the funds that are available to go directly to support the cadets. So they're going to take money out of spending money on these kids to pay the rent on this. Okay? However, okay, there's no malice in this. The Realty Department has absolutely no authority to offer a renewal of lease agreement without charging rent unless directed by council. Hence the delegation today. Can I have the next slide, please? So our request is a very simple one. The council direct the Realty Department to renew these leases on a new 5-year term that will be commencing January 1st, 2025, with the same conditions, terms and conditions as the original agreement, and at no cost to the Cadet Corps. The last part is important. One Corps didn't feel that they had an option and already signed a new lease. I'd like that one vacated and replaced with what we had. So all we're doing with the direction from council is renewing the original 5-year lease for another 5-year term. Same terms and conditions. But Realty Department, we had a very good meeting last week with the Realty Department. They're on side with us. But again, they need your direction to be able to complete this. And so I'm assuming this will go back to our staff report. I'm hoping that this matter, this is basically just an administrative matter. I'm hoping that this matter will be expedited by you and get the staff report back quickly. They're ready to do it. It'll be a short report, but we need the direction. That's it. And for the first time, I haven't gone over 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Hank.
Any questions?
I have a question from Councillor Medeiros, your local councillor, together with Councillor Keenan.
Thank you, Chair. Again, in consultation with Councillor Keenan, it seems we're also going to refer this to staff. So, Henry, thank you. We know that Mayor Brown and all the council, it's hard to say no to you, and we're fully supportive of everything that you do. So we'll refer this back to staff with appropriate timelines as stipulated by the delegation.
Perfect, thank you. So another referral back to staff from Councillor Medeiros. All in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Thank you, Hank. Next, delegation 6.3 from Shirisha, founder, and Irfan Siddiqui, Raj, and Misha, Brampton Fashion Week, regarding a request for support for Brampton Fashion Week. Thanks so much for coming in today. Good to see you. You all have 5 minutes for your delegation.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor and Council. Next slide, please. Okay, Brampton Fashion Week is one of a kind red carpet event in the city of Brampton. We have established in 2018, and we are a non-for-profit organization giving opportunity to local designer, makeup artists, makeup school, hair school, volunteers, media students. Next slide, please. Just a quick message from Mayor Brown. Next slide, please. This is just a glimpse and highlights of our events since we started in 2018. Next slide, please. Just images from 2019 event that took place at the Brampton Soccer Center. Next slide, please. 2020, we did a virtual event during COVID without audience, keeping all the protocol in place. Next slide, please. Same in 2021, we did fashion film outdoor due to COVID. Next slide, please. 2022, we're back in-person event, and these are just the highlights of the events that we have done over the course of 7 years. And I'll come to the point right after these images. Next slide, please. This is 2023, few images from that. Next slide, please. This is our last year event, and here we are getting ready for 2025. Next slide, please. Okay, next one, please. Okay, the reason why we are here, since we are a non-for-profit organization and we have been around for 8 years now, giving opportunity to local designers. In past 7 years, we have given opportunity to over 70 local designers. We have engaged over 2,000 models. In every event, we have more than 25 makeup artists and hairstylists that belong to local schools. And so is our media people, photographer, videographer. Next slide, please. The reason why we are here, we are requesting the council and city to waive the rental fee for this year's event. Since we are a non-for-profit organization, and more importantly, this year, we are proud to do a fundraising for William Osler Hospital. So we are here seeking your assistance and help. So, if you can waive our rental fee for this year's event that is happening on Saturday, August 2nd at the Brampton City Hall. So that's why we are here requesting to waive the rental fee. And whatever money we could save, we can donate it towards the William Osler Foundation for the second hospital. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shaz. Irfan, you're going to add anything?
I think he's covered most of it. The idea this year again was to give back. Also going this spread, I know Mayor Brown heavily talked about it. Personally very involved with the Osler Foundation as well. So something that we wanted to give back, and something that a lot of our local businesses resonated with, a lot of our volunteers, a lot of our staff, our team members resonated with was that we do give back to where we do this event, and I think has a bit more meaningful aspect to it, as well as most of the sponsorships and the designer fees that we usually do have every year for designers to come on board to pay to showcase their design of the show. Those are turned into donations going towards the hospital as well. So that way, most of the revenue that we do generate every year that pays for the event, logistics, is going to be turned towards donation. That's why we had this request if we could waive some of the fees for this year.
Thank you so much. All done? Thank you very much for your delegation. There are no questions on the board, so myself as Chair of Community Services, but also as a huge supporter of Brampton Fashion Week. Personally, myself, Mayor Brown, Councillor Power, I believe, have also participated in Brampton Fashion Week in the past. So we're huge supporters of Brampton Fashion Week, as you know. Quick question. So over the past few years, including this year, have you received Advance Brampton Fund money?
Yes, we have.
Okay. And this year, just a quick question to Kelly, Acting Commissioner and also Director, part of ABF, and the reiteration of it. Just a quick explanation in terms of this year's funding and the limit of funding that we had to distribute to all the various organizations. In Brampton, how many organizations did we support through Brampton Fund, including Brampton Fashion Week?
Thank you, through the chair. This year we had an unprecedented 172 applications to Advance Brampton Fund. Our funding pool is 1.75 million. We had requests for 2.5 million this year. So in our allocations, we had reduced funding levels for many of the organizations. So there may be some cases like Brampton Fashion Week where they submitted an application for the full amount of Amplify, but were only granted a percentage of, just based on the sheer volume of applications and the limitations that we have in the fund.
Right. So we had, as you know, like a lot of nonprofit organizations in arts and other organizations apply for that limited fund of money. And in order to give money to all of those who qualified, we had to reduce everyone's amount based on a percentage and their score of how they did on the application. The good news is that I believe Brampton Fashion Week had a great score. And I believe through Kelly, the amount awarded to Brampton Fashion Week this year was...
Through the chair, Brampton Fashion Week was successful in a $20,000 grant from the City of Brampton.
Which is awesome. And in previous years, Brampton Fashion Week has received support through Advanced Brampton Fund as well. Now, a quick question to you is this change in the funding related, or the fundraising for William Osler, did that happen during or, when you submitted the application or after?
So we were talking about this with our Fashion Week Board of Director as well, that we need to support new hospital being built. So we talked about it before we even received the grant.
Okay, so was it included as part of the application itself that you would be fundraising for Osler as well?
No.
Not, okay, so this is a new.
That's right.
Right, okay, so the other question, because the Advanced Brampton Fund really is, was developed in order to eliminate organizations from seeking in-kind support.
Right.
Because we found it more administratively cleaner to give organizations the amounts in cash, essentially, as a grant, so that they can allocate the funds accordingly to pay for venue, rentals, etc. The challenge we have today with your delegation is that because you have received Advanced Brampton Fund money this year and in the past, that includes the in-kind support, meaning that money is allocated to also pay for the cost of the venue. And because the fundraising for Osler, which is amazing, strongly encourage that happened after the application, I would highly recommend that next year's application you include it, so that maybe the score is even higher.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
For that considered. But because in-kind rental fees are already included as part of your funding allocation, I think the most we can do today is to receive the delegation. Okay?
All right.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to ask for a motion to receive the delegation from Councillor Tour, if that's okay. Motion to receive the delegation. All in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Thanks for coming to delegate.
Thank you so much.
Okay. The next item is under government relations. The presentation and staff update was put into consent, which brings us to 7.2 regarding a discussion item, request from myself regarding encampment response and the encampment protocol policy development and also funding. I know that Resmeen is here today. So just this discussion item is related to an ongoing issue we have at the Region of Peel and the City of Brampton. And Resmeen, if you don't mind, because you're part of the discussion itself, over the past few months, we have been putting together with the Region of Peel an encampment protocol and policy. Would you mind just giving council, because there are some councillors here who probably are not privy to the same updates that I received from you or at the Region of Peel, where we are at with respect to the encampment protocol development and what is the status of it coming to the region, so that my colleagues at the region also know when this is coming up.
Good morning, everyone, through the chair. For the past year, we've been working with the Region of Peel on developing the policy and protocols associated with encampment response. We have been part of working groups and steering committees, and when I say the we, the collective we is security services, fire and emergency services, bylaw, Parks, Legal and Service Brampton. We've also had numerous Brampton internal encampment response meetings, as well as planning meetings to discuss the protocols, provide our feedback. We've been providing feedback on these protocols, and there's about 12 protocols and templates. And we've been providing feedback throughout the year, but also formally in January, where we collected all of the feedback across the corporation, provided that to the Region of Peel, have been reviewing that the past few weeks as well, and discussing any changes that we need to make. And we'll continue those conversations to ensure that the feedback is incorporated into those protocols, to ensure that our operational needs are reflected, but also our ability to respond to situations that are unsafe.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Rasmeen. And then the next question is how many encampments do we have right now in the city of Brampton?
We have 23 right now across the city of Brampton, spread across different wards.
Okay.
And
I've seen a significant difference in the work that we did versus where we were at this time last year. Huge difference. There are very few encampments now in the Tobico Creek Trail where there is a flood zone as well as residential housing. I know, to Councillor Medeiros, Councillor Keenan, you guys have quite a few encampments still in Ward 3, and we're seeing an increase in encampments and the various issues related and concerns that come with it in business park areas, so near corporations and business parks, and having an impact on employees who are going to work. I know that there are some encampments that Councillor Brar have been experiencing over the past year, also nestled within residential areas. And at one point last year, we were talking about this almost weekly at City Council and at Regional Council. And Brampton your team played a significant role in helping to identify what the balance is to deal with the situation. The majority of the encampments in Brampton, are they on city property or regional property?
the majority of the encampments, if not all, are on public property. We do have some private property encampments, but they're mostly on public property.
When you say public property, is it city?
It's city property.
So not
Yeah.
regional property.
Yep.
And then in terms of where we're going with the protocol right now, the province passed legislation most recently, and they're encouraging the transition of encampments out of public property. Since the majority of encampments are on city property, at this point in time in your conversations with the region, are they keeping in mind that the city should have more control over if and when an encampment is abandoned, and also trespass notices, et cetera?
The short answer, through the chair, the short answer is yes. So that is something that we have been pushing forward for. We've noticed that when we didn't have these protocols, that we were in a bit of a bind, and we were not able to respond as quickly. So we're ensuring that the protocols allow us to respond quickly.
Thank you. And in our response to respond quickly, from the city's perspective, and I know we've talked about this a lot last year and earlier this year, the costs. So on the city side, to deal with the encampments on city property, what are the costs associated that we as a city have to pay for?
Through the chair, so last year we spent about 1.15 million to respond to encampments.
Okay, and those costs include?
Those costs include security for, contracted security for a specific area. They include cleanup costs, so about 300,000 is in cleanup costs, signage, but also staff hours as well. Actually, it doesn't include staff hours at all. Okay. It's 1.5 for mostly cleanup costs and restoration efforts, signage, and then contracted security.
Great. And last year, I'm looking to Chris, because this is a GR matter as well. Last year and earlier this year, we had pushed for the province and the region to give the city of Brampton our money back in terms of the amount of money, that 1.1 million that Rasmeen shared, back to the city in security, garbage cleanup, et cetera, to deal with encampments. And to Chris, did we receive a commitment at any point in time in those conversations last year from the region that they would give us our money back?
Yes, through the chair. So the overall timeline of funding that was potentially available dates back to announcements back in December 2024, where the province announced roughly $75 million for 3 different programs. The city had discussions, and Rasmeen can elaborate on that, with the region appeal to include our costs that we had incurred for 2024 through the Encampment Response Initiative. That overall fund was $20 million. the Region Appeal put forward an application to MMAH and was unsuccessful.
Okay, so what, in the application itself, did the Region Appeal, because who was responsible for bringing forward the application? Like, were we allowed to bring forward the application, or who's and what department was responsible to ensure that we applied?
Yeah, thank you again through the chair, Councillor. The local lower tier municipalities actually did not have an avenue to apply. So any application that we put forward or any cost we were looking to have recovered had to go through the Region Appeal. It's my understanding, and Rasmeen and team can elaborate on that, that our costs were passed on to the Region Appeal. I know, I believe it was a meeting in early January at the Region Appeal where there was an open discussion where regional staff did commit to covering the costs of local municipalities, but that money has not come forward.
Okay, so that money was not recoverable. Okay, so was the city of Brampton even mentioned in the application?
Through the chair specifically, the municipalities were not mentioned.
So
in the
Mississauga
application.
wasn't mentioned, City of Brampton, the costs to actually restore the encampment sites, security costs, garbage costs were not even mentioned in the application.
Through the chair, to our knowledge, restoration costs were going to be mentioned, but they were not.
Okay, so what was mentioned in the application?
Through the chair, I can't speak to the exact final application that was submitted to the ministry, but we were notified that restoration costs as a whole would have been included.
Okay. So this is a, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I can add a little bit more to that too. Through the chair, GR staff have had a number of meetings with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing on this, and specifically, the need for lower tier municipalities to have an avenue to apply for funding. From what we understand of the Region Appeal, so it was a $20 million allocation for the Encampment Response Initiative. The Region Appeal put forward an application for $15 million, so roughly 3/4 of the overall fund that was distributed across the province. And in that included a project related to modular housing, and I think there was roughly a $1 million line item that didn't specify municipal costs, but from discussions with the regional staff, they've told us that that was intended to be for municipal costs.
Okay. I guess we'll have to do this region. I know Mayor Brown's hand is up. I just have one final question to my colleague, Councillor Vicente, also representative in Ward 1, but also the Vice Chair of Human Services. So just a quick question, Councillor Vicente. As Vice Chair of Human Services, if you've had any regular weekly meet or update meetings with Human Services who put forward the application from the Region of Peel, do you know why the City of Brampton was excluded from the application?
Councillor Santos, I'm sure that we could ask the question at the region and get answers directly from Human Services staff.
Okay, so is there any information you have at all on this?
Just repeat that we can ask these questions at the region and get direct answers from Human Services staff.
Okay, so Councillor Vicente, as Vice Chair of Human Services, would you be able to, in your next update meeting, ask Human Services staff in preparation for a Region of Peel meeting that question? Since do you have update meetings with Human Services?
Thank you. Councillor Santos, we have a meeting tomorrow at the region. We can ask those questions.
Okay, so you don't have an answer.
My answer is that we can ask these questions directly of Human Services staff tomorrow at the Region of Peel.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Vicente, Vice Chair of Human Services. Mayor Brown.
Yes, make sure my speaker is on. What I wanted to say was, on the issue of encampments, I was flagged we did not get that funding. I spoke to Minister Flack directly. He was surprised that we were not eligible because he had heard that we were one of the first municipalities doing this important work. I would note the minister appreciated our very vocal approach, that we didn't want needles, we didn't want issues, hazards in public parks. I was part of a press conference at Queen's Park with other mayors last year, talking about the importance of this fund and this approach. Parks are meant to be safe spaces, and so he said he was going to drill down into this with his staff. Chris Ethier has been in touch with his chief of staff, trying to find out how we can get this back online, because our goal and the efforts we've been doing is in line with what the province wants to do. I would note there may be some misalignment with the view of regional staff on this cleanup and the stated.
Mayor Brown, we lost you.
The only way to solve it, because can you hear me now?
Yeah, we missed about 5 seconds.
Okay, I think the only way to solve this would be to put forward a motion at the regional council saying that we want that funding to go to the local city efforts, just like we have in other files. I think if there was a motion of council dictating the direction, then regional staff would honor that direction. And so I think that would be the best approach to ensure that in the midterm, that the fund is used appropriately. But in the longer term, I believe that this fund is going to be amended to include direct applications from cities.
Thank you so much, Mayor Brown.
I would just add, I think we've learned, unless it's a motion of regional council, what is a specific Brampton ask or a specific Mississauga ask or a specific Caledon ask will not be honored at a regional level unless it's an actual motion. I think that's where we've had the greatest amount of success.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mayor Brown, because certainly at the region of Peel, we've had this discussion over and over and over and over again. I made it abundantly clear that we wanted to make sure that the city of Brampton, our cost recovery was included in the application. So over to, I guess, Chris, and there was a motion passed at the last regional council as well regarding encampments that brought forward by Mayor Parrish, seconded by myself. Can you do a quick scan, possibly before tomorrow, to see which motions we've brought forward regarding encampments and specific to funding requests of the region? If there is one that already exists and they didn't follow it, I'd like to bring that up tomorrow as well. But to the mayor's point, perhaps another motion to be very clear on what we want.
Sure.
Yeah, if we could do that, Chris. Thank you so much. Any further questions on this matter? Thank you very much. There are no carries. That's just a discussion item. Staff have received direction. Thanks so much. Okay. The next item is, I believe, are we going to close session now? We have a presentation from Public Works. Do I need to go through all the sections just in case? Community services, all the items are put into consent. Any public questions on this matter, on this section?
Through you, Chair, there are no public questions on any of the sections.
Okay, so nothing on legislative services, and nothing on economic development, nothing on corporate services, which brings us to Public Works, where Councillor Vicente is chair. I will hand it, there is a staff presentation. So I'll hand it over to Councillor Vicente, who is Chair of Public Works, for the staff presentation.
And just asking Councillor Santos, I know we held down the Peter Roberts tonight. Let me know when the appropriate time to have that brought up again.
Sure. Mayor Brown, you have the floor.
Okay, and is this for the Peter Roberts tonight?
The deputy mayor has spoken to the item, but you're welcome to add your thoughts as well,
okay,
Mayor.
Okay, well, thank you to Deputy Mayor for doing so, but obviously a significant loss in the city of Brampton. That the Deputy Mayor actually texted me to make sure I was aware that we were about to speak to it. So sorry I missed that, but there was a lot of love for former Mayor Robertson, and I know Councillor Paleshi was sharing many stories about it last week when we heard the sad news. I'm told he got to watch the Maple Leafs the night before he passed away, so it was a peaceful passing, but he's left an incredible legacy in our city, helping transition Brampton from a small community, dealt with significant regional transition issues as well, and was a great friend of many in our city. So I just want to say and echo the words of our deputy mayor that he's going to be greatly missed in our city. I know my former communications director, Gary Collins, actually worked for Peter Robertson, so Peter would come in and offer advice often, and we appreciate his advice. And that sign in my office that all the councillors have seen, "All roads lead to Brampton," was a marketing idea of former Mayor Robertson, and he actually gifted it to our office, and we have it on the wall with pride. So we love his passion for Brampton, and we're going to miss him.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So we'll now move on to item 12.1.1, a staff presentation on strengthening alignment with provincial locate requirements and municipal construction processes. We have Allison Sander, the strategic leader for project management, legislative services, and Ryan and Corey from Ontario One Call to make the presentation. Welcome.
Good morning, members of the committee, Mayor Brown. I'm here today to talk really briefly about the staff report that's on today's agenda. Just noting that it is in the public works section because it proposes amendments to the site alteration bylaw. The report itself goes over a number of items, but focuses on what staff have done proactively since these discussions arose in the fall to increase public awareness of safe construction and digging activities, and makes recommendations to improve local oversight of site alteration activities, including utility locates. Before we begin the presentation, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that this is another initiative that merits recognition and thanks for staff across the organization, including Public Works, Building Inspections, Environmental Engineering, Service Brampton, Legal, and Enforcement. If we can start with the first slide, please. So council will recall that in the fall, staff brought forward a report that talked about the complex nature of utility locates and the legislation around that it's mandated by the province and enforced by multiple regulatory authorities. It was acknowledged that while there's no enabling legislation to allow the city to mandate locate requests as part of the building permit process, staff looked at other ways to increase local oversight, and as part of ongoing efforts to address unsafe construction and unauthorized work, staff implemented several improvements to existing processes proactively since then to do three things: increase public awareness of the importance of calling for locates, reduce service requests proactively, and enhance public safety. Some of these efforts have included expanded communication strategy and coordination with Ontario One Call's communication and marketing team, the integration of utility locate information in both site alteration and building permit packages, and interagency training with Ontario One Call and frontline staff at the city with enforcement and inspection services and soon road maintenance and operations, and the execution of an MOU to enable the formal exchange of information between our two authorities. Next slide, please. So while the building permit requirements are set out by the province, the city retains authority over site alteration activities, which creates an opportunity to reinforce and strengthen alignment with provincial locate regulations. Therefore, legal supported the drafting of an amendment to the site alteration bylaw to require the production of locate documents upon request during any site alteration activities, including those related to residential construction. It's important to note that if this amendment is enacted, staff won't be responsible for validating the completeness or accuracy of any documentations produced and will continue to refer matters routinely over to One Call. However, the creation of an offense is expected to encourage greater compliance with the requirements of Ontario One Call. Next slide, please. So what this looks like: service requests are going to be continued to be delivered to the operating area responsible for investigating it based on the type and location of work as demonstrated on the diagram on the screen. The only difference is where those offenses are observed proactively, that referral to Ontario One Call would transfer to the end of that diagram. Once the matter is transferred to Ontario One Call, the case will be managed by their compliance and industry performance team, and escalation will proceed in accordance with the provincial legislation. I'll also note that to formally integrate similar requirements formally into a building permit process would require amendments to the Ontario Building Code. So with that, I'd like to introduce the partners at Ontario One Call and invite them to share a few words about how cases are managed once that transfer occurs and how the coordination of authorities can help promote compliance.
Well, good morning, everyone.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to come to City Council today to speak on this important issue. My name is Ryan McAfee. I'm the Head of Compliance and Industry Performance, as well as Legislative Affairs at Ontario One Call. I'm joined today by Corey Officer, who manages our investigative compliance program as well. Bramptonians may know Ontario One Call best through our Click Before You Dig notification system. So we have a very mature notification system that bridges the requests of excavators with infrastructure owners who are responsible for creating or providing locates to ensure that underground infrastructure is marked before excavation begins. What Ontarians may be, and that service offering has existed in one form or another since the 1990s. What Ontarians may be less aware of is Ontario One Call's new mandate and our role as a public safety administrative authority, which is essentially brand new. I would say that presently Ontarians are more aware of our partners in public safety, being the TSSA, the Technical Standards and Safety Authority, as well as the Electoral Safety Authority, the ESA. Now, the Ontario One Call Compliance and Industry Performance Team, while we are a relatively new public safety program, over the past year, we have implemented a administrative penalty regulation that rolled into force May 1st of last year. We've established an administrative penalty and prosecution framework in order to implement our public safety mandate. Now, in 2024 alone, our team investigated more than 200 cases of unsafe excavation throughout Ontario. Now, we're also responsible for, I would say, lower order, lower risk contraventions, mainly related to timeliness. Infrastructure owners are required to provide locates within a certain period of time to make sure that important infrastructure and transit and projects like transit projects that we see here in Brampton are not delayed due to late locates. Having said that, our priority is always public safety contravention, so digging unsafely, digging without locates. As a public safety administrative authority, we take our role seriously, and we offer a balanced approach to compliance and enforcement. So our investigative outcomes range from warning letters, educational dispositions that require contraveners at their own cost to complete education to make sure that they're aware of their responsibilities and duties, as well as, yes, implementing our administrative penalty regulation. And since it came into force about 1 year ago, we've issued 3 administrative penalties at the maximum rate of $10,000 for unsafe digging. Now, while we've made strong progress in operationalizing our compliance framework, our legislation in its current state does not give Ontario One Call any fieldwork capacity and does not provide us with any inspection powers in order to execute our mandate. We've recognized this as a limitation. We're presently working with government in order to strengthen our toolkit so that we can effectively deliver on our mandate. So that brings us to today, and in support of the two-tiered model proposed by Ms. Sander that offers significant public protections, as well as a blueprint for what future, for frankly Ontario One Call's future, and perhaps the future of other communities across the province. So this is, so I'd like to thank Allison and her team for their leadership in this space. Brampton has taken leadership in this space. Now, although our organization is growing in maturity and we do not have a field presence, we know that partnerships like this are important to improve public safety across Ontario. So thanks to our new partnership, as Ms. Sander mentioned with Brampton 311, we've had a number of referrals already come into Ontario One Call. They've been very promising and they've been of good quality. We have noticed in our experience across the province is that in some cases, referrals from members of the public lack the evidence or quality necessary for us to carry out an investigation with a view to outcomes that promote public safety. That's why we think it's important to work with Brampton, to work with municipalities across Ontario in order to improve public safety, knowledge, and service delivery. Ultimately, the hope is that our joint effort will help drive meaningful behavioral change and support our shared goal of improving excavation safety across the City of Brampton and the province writ large. Next slide, please. So as Allison mentioned, last week Ontario One Call had the pleasure of presenting, there's our team right there, had the pleasure of presenting to Brampton's building and enforcement teams. We provide an overview of One Call, the importance of click before you dig messaging and provincial locate requirements, as well as getting into the nitty-gritty of our investigative process and our complaints handling process. Now, in order to put some of this in context, I thought that I'd share some data with council today in order to put some of this work, in order to put the importance of this work into context. So, as the notification system, Ontario One Call processed approximately 1 million locate requests across the province last year. In 2024, so our most recent year before full year's data, there were nearly 4,000 reported damages to critical underground infrastructure across Ontario, including strikes to gas and electrical infrastructure. That amounts to approximately 17 damages every working day. Now, 43% of those cases, there were no locates requested, which meant that when shovels went into the ground, excavators were not aware of the presence of underground infrastructure. Now, with the city's presence in the field through their law enforcement function, your staff are in a unique position to promote safe excavation where it matters the most, where it's actually happening, and to provide information to Ontario One Call through this referral mechanism. This collaborative approach reinforces accountability, but also helps to prevent environmental hazards, reducing service disruptions to residents, and most importantly, it protects residents from potential harms caused by damage to underground infrastructure, including explosion. Now, I'll just say, just to wrap this section, I'll just say that I mentioned the $10,000 maximum to our administrative penalty regulation. And yes, we have issued 3 of these in the last year. But I want to give Council confidence that our work on Ontario One Call follows an escalatory model of disciplinary action and of enforcement, which means that, yes, where the circumstances are egregious, our first action may be to issue an administrative penalty. However, in most cases, particularly where there has not been a harm or where there's no negative history of noncompliance, our risk matrix typically points our investigators to educational dispositions, which means excavators will learn what they need to know in order to do their work safely next time. So I'll just conclude by saying we deeply value this partnership with the City of Brampton, and we look forward to continuing our support to this important work. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you very much. I don't see questions from members, so I have a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Singh to receive the presentation. All in favor? That carries. The report was in consent, and so we now move on to question period. Do any members have questions with regards to today's Public Works agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to public question period. Madam Clerk, do we have questions from members of the public with regards to today's agenda?
Through you, Chair, I see no questions online today.
Very good. So members will now move on to closed session. We have 2 items. I'll ask the clerk to summarize for us.
Through you, Chair, we have 2 items, 15.1, budget amendment and request to begin procurement for repairs to city assets in Ward 1. Pursuant to Municipal Act Section 239(2)E and K regarding matters related to litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and a position, plan, procedure, or criteria or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. And item 15.2, closed report, ATU Local 1573 Collective Agreement pursuant to the Municipal Act Section 239(2)D regarding labor relations or employee negotiations.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. So I have a motion moved by Councillor Power for us to recess and go into closed session. All in favor, any opposed? That carries. Madam Clerk, is 15 minutes sufficient? We'll convene at 10:55. Thank you. And now we're back from closed session. I will ask the clerk to summarize for us closed session business.
Through Chair Crisante, in closed session, item 15.1 was considered and procedural direction was given to staff. Item 15.2 was considered in closed session and direction was given, including consideration of a motion in open session as follows. That Council approve the full-time and part-time memoranda of settlement achieved between the Corporation of the City of Brampton and Amalgamated Transit Union Local 1573, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the full-time and part-time collective agreements between the Corporation of the City of Brampton and Amalgamated Transit Union Local 1573, which will be effective from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2027.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and I'd just like to take this opportunity as Chair of Works to thank all transit staff for their patience and perseverance through this process, and to everyone here who was involved in those negotiations. Transit shall continue, the people are served, and I would like to ask if the Deputy Mayor will move the motion.
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Singh. No questions. All in favor? That carries. And so with that, our last business item is adjournment. This committee is next scheduled to meet on Wednesday, June the 4th at 9:30 a.m. I have a motion moved by Councillor Tour to adjourn today's meeting. All in favor? That carries. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.